Otherwise, Valor.
I see a 2 Gods Willings. I see a Heliod, God of the Sun, Heliod's Emissary, Hopeful Eidolon, 2 Lagana, Band Elder, 2 Observant Alseid, 2 Phalanx Leader. All right, so he is aggressive.
All right, so 2 Phalanx Leader. He has a Coordinated Assault. That's the double targeter in red. He hardly has any red cards. He's just playing white. He's just white.
He's a red-white heroic deck. Or,
he's just white.
Excuse me, a white-red heroic deck.
Yeah, like with a little R.
the lowercase R.
Lowercase R.
Here's a Hopeful Eidolon to start the show for Max.
And I think it's because of those Phalanx Leaders he's playing that Hopeful Eidolon is a 1/1 lifelink, nothing else. Like, I just need creatures because they're going to get bigger. I need these combat tricks I play don't work as well when I don't have lots of creatures.
Ooh, gross. No 2-drop though. Here comes Swatkins with the
oof. That guy's a little bit bigger.
Me oh my, 3/3 defender in the house.
Yep. Now Swatkins with no way to activate the return Phalanx. It is actually just as defender.
Yeah, well, it's serving pretty well as a defender right now, and now Tietze doesn't have a 3rd land either. Yikes, what did we keep over there, Max? That's the question. Swatkin's going to tap some lands here. And now there is your Blood Toll Harpy, so each player's going to lose 1, which is what Max wants to happen. But now, Swatkins has a body on the board. Not the best of blockers, but he can get a little bit more aggressive now and take advantage of Max having mana troubles. But it looks like Max did draw planes, so he can play Magic again.
Yeah, so 3rd plane, so down a turn. If Max is really the aggressor in this matchup, then he's probably okay that they both lost. So like most of his flyers should be able to deal with Blood Toll Harpy. Return Phalanx is an issue for him, but the real danger is that every turn, and he doesn't know it yet, so every turn just gives his opponent time until the Gray Merchants start coming around.
Yeah. Laguna Band Elder has shown up here, 3/2 for 3 mana.
Yeah, and he has a Hopeful Eidolon, so he gains 3. That card will trade with everything. You know, it's a 3/2 for 3. It generally deals some good damage and trades with everything.
Yeah. Coming in the air is Swatkins with the Harpy, so he's going to knock Tietze down to 21. And Swatkins just going to pass the turn back, representing some sort of trick of some nature.
I'm not even positive he has a trick. I think he's actually just building up to Gray Merchant. And it's interesting when you're playing a deck with so many Gray Merchants, you try to not trade. And we're actually seeing no trade here from Swatkins.
Yeah. He has a Gray Merchant in his hand, so yeah, and I'm with you now as well. Now here's another one of the 3/2, the Laguna Band Elder.
White can gain life too. Unfortunately, 3/2s do not tangle well with 2/4s.
They do not, nor does a dome like this does. So a drain of 4 here.
Life totals 19 and 20, 18 and 19.
Yeah. Good turn there from Swatkins. Good turn from Gray Merchant as well.
He's a zombie. He's got that bag full of things he's selling.
He's going to play a land. Does play a mountain, so now he's got 4 mana here. Again, he only has 16 lands in his deck. This is by design. He's a hyper-aggressive Boros deck. Now he's going to turn these sideways here. So, in the face of a 2/4 is what a 3/2 is attacking into.
Well, that seems like there's a trick going on. And Swatkins could double block one of them. So the tricks we're looking at are Battle-Wise Valor, or also I think Coordinated Assault is the most likely trick. Two creatures get +1/+1 first strike. That would really bait into block this, put one guy on each of them. It appears he's going to double block a Lagana Band Elder.
How do we feel about double block here?
If I'm going to make a block, that's the block I want to make.
Okay.
I don't think Swatkins particularly cares which one dies. And then it's a 2-for-1 when if there's a trick that happens, it's a 2-for-1.
Sure.
I think it's a really heads-up block.
It looks like we're in double block territory. I think he's confirming with his teammates.
Yeah.
Blesso and Pyka. Hey, you guys good with this?
This is a great block, actually.
Yep. You had to think that Max probably saw this coming as well. Max is a very skilled player. 1 and 2. All right, so this is just going to trade with the leader.
Yep.
Excuse me, the return Phalanx. Apologies. 3 mana.
That's fine. And we see Flame Speaker Adept.
Yep. That's a good turn if you're Swatkins. You got to be pretty happy with how that went.
So how much Scry is actually in Max's deck? We know he has the 2 Battle-Wise Valors, but how else can he Scry?
He's got the 2 Battle-Wise Valors. He's got 2 copies of God's Willing as well.
And he's left up a white.
Yeah.
And he had the choice of which mana to leave up, and he left up white.
White, yep, sure. So he's got some options. He has a Rage of Proferos as well, but that's 5 mana spell. Sorcery speed as well.
Portent of Betrayal also.
Yep.
So 6 ways to target. How are you feeling about playing that Hopeful Eidolon on turn 1?
I think it was hopeful.
That's
what it feels like to me.
He didn't anticipate getting stuck on lands this time.
This is true. This is true. When you have double Phalanx later, it's tough for me to want to be able to do that. Wow, another Return Phalanx. Jeez. This might be the nightmare matchup for Tietze's deck. Knowing your opponent has 2 copies of Return Phalanx, just a 3/3 wall to try to get through is really hard to do.
The Return Phalanx turns out to be a pretty decent card. We've seen a lot of players playing it today without any blue mana, just as, saying a 3/3 defender is pretty good in this format.
All right, well, Tietze's not scared. We're going to see another double block, just like last turn.
Well,
I guess I'm thinking is like what's changed. I guess is the thinking.
This time, God's Willing is a decent card. The worry that if you played God's Willing, so you played on the Lagana Band Elder. If you did, you get blown up by Divine Verdict.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's actually just going to trade it with the Phalanx again. We do see a Battle-Wise Valor in Tietze's hand. All right.
There's the God's Willing that you mentioned.
So the question now is there a Divine Verdict waiting for him?
So Tietze's going to scry 1. He's happy with that card, so he's going to keep it. See if Swatkins is going to have a move that he wants to make here. He decides he's not. So Phalanx is going to go to the graveyard. Swatkins going to take some damage here.
Takes 4 off the Adept. Swatkins is actually in a little tight of a spot here.
I mean, just depending on how many tricks Max is able to draw into, I agree with you. It's getting difficult here. That is the old Sip of Hemlock. It's going to take care of that creature and deal Tietze 2. 2 in the air here from Swatkins as well. Now 2/4 versus 3/2. Sitting pretty well.
Yeah, so Swatkins once again has control of the board. But with so many tricks out of a red-white deck, it's really temperamental to say he has control of the board. You know that these decks can really, we've seen a couple times in our red decks, can just push a lot of damage out all at once. We do see Battle-Wise Valor.
It's not to say that Tietze doesn't have combat tricks, because he does. This being one of them is bestowing, make his Band Elder a 5/4 vigilance now.
Yeah, that's with Observant Alcaides. That puts Swatkins to 7. And now that Battle-Wise Valor is potentially lethal.
Swatkins might slow down drastically here. Okay.
Vanquish the Foul. That did put the power of Band Elder over 4.
Mm-hmm. Scry 1 gonna happen. You guys see Vanquish the Foul. Uncommon. Feels like a common removal spell, but just uncommon.
It's a little conditional. Most of the thing, I suppose Smite the Monstrous was a common.
Yeah.
This one Scry's one. Maybe that makes the difference.
Easier to Smite was easy to splash, but this is easy to splash.
I mean,
too.
they already have. I think because they have Divine Verdict at
Sure.
common, you don't want to. Enough removal at common is good.
Sure.
Is enough.
In for 2 in the air comes Swatkins, leaving back the Grey Merchant yet again. Grey Merchant now staring down 2 enchantment creatures in Hopeful Eidolon and Observant Alcide. Here's 4 mana. So there is
Heliod's Emissary.
Yep. That's the
Just
3/3.
cast, not. He didn't have enough mana. He was 1 mana short of bestowing it. But that's really strong here. It can tap Grey Merchant. Well,
It'll have to tap
a
Grey Merchant. So now here's the drain and gain, or drain and brain, as some would say.
Yeah. 5 and 12. That's where this guy gets sick. Max drops to 3. Swatkins is to 12.
Wow.
And those huge life total swings continue.
That just changes the game in such a huge way. Where Tietze was starting to come back, it felt like, but now Grey Merchant not only does it gain 5 and drain 5, but also putting a 2/4 body out there as well. Couldn't that thing just be like a 2/2?
Draining 5 is a huge number.
Yeah. The fact that it has a 4 toughness too makes it such a good guy in combat. Not going to win a lot of fights, but it's not going to lose a lot either. car keys have arrived.
All right.
All right, we're gonna put those away.
Tietze really has to be mindful here. His own life total. It's really hard. He can push damage through, possibly, but the problem is then he'll lose on the swing back.
Yeah, that's the issue right now.
How does he push damage while still defending?
And I agree with you. Heliod's Emissary was a great play for him last turn. I actually thought things were going back in his direction when he played that, but now things have shifted Swatkins' way, and you see Tietze is trying to figure out some sort of a plan to get himself back into this.
He has a coordinated assault and a battle-wise valor. It looks like he has another observant Alseid as well. None of those really help with the current situation. Possibly bestowing his observant Alseid onto Heliod's Emissary is good if you want to make that play.
How much are we going to get in with here? Feeling frisky? Everybody
tap a Green Merchant. He's going to go ahead and burn all his combat tricks here if a block is made. We see that Swatkins' hand is
Sip of Hemlock
and Sentry of the Underworld.
So they got a block.
That is the best block he could make, too.
I think so. Forces a trick.
Well, Tietze still has the trick, but what it means is that the trick isn't going to go onto Hopeful Eidolon.
Pump up the jam. We know he has a Battle-Wise Valor. Tietze has 2 in his deck, by the way.
Yeah, he's going to have to save that. He can't give Swatkins a third attacker next turn.
All right. So there's Battle-Wise Valor. Scry 1. Bottoms up. Let's see what else Tietze has.
It looks like it's another Observant Alseid there.
And does he have Does he put Swatkins on having another sip of Hemlock?
Yeah, that 2 life off Sip of Hemlock is...
It's huge. It's absolutely huge.
Probably just the game.
3 mana. Yep, and that should do it. Yep. And
Yep,
Swatkins slams
Sip.
down Sip, and he says, I'm going to use this to kill your guy and attack you in the air if you're going to make me go through it. And he's not going to make him. So Brian Swatkins is going to win game number 1 over Max Tietze. As we check in on our other matches here, you see Blesso playing Ingram, Pyka playing Davis, and they're still playing. So, wow, these games are going long, my friend.
Both these teams are 5-0. If you recall from our round 2 matchup, Swatkins and Pyka both won 2-0 convincingly.
Yep.
Actually, Blesso's deck was struggling a little bit, but never had to finish the match. We do see, though, some rares here from Pyka. Spear of Heliod and Anax and Cymede. Yes, I believe. Yeah. Anax and Cymede in play.
So let's see what Jim Davis is up to here. You see some mana in his deck. He's got a Polish Crusher and an Embo.
We do see Underworld Cerberus, as you were hoping.
When I saw, I didn't realize I was looking at 3 rares.
Underworld Cerberus just hit the graveyard, bringing back everyone's creatures. Yeah, we see Ember Swallower, Polis Crusher. Remember, you can't Spear of Heliod a Polis Crusher. That's pro enchantments.
See, Underworld Cerberus did hit the bin, and that's what Davis is splashing for. He's got 1 swamp. He's got an Unknown Shores to help facilitate it as well.
More creatures for Pyka. I don't know how he's planning to swing through here, though. So that's Sylvan Caryatid, Polis Crusher, Ember Swallower, and then Underworld Cerberus that just hit the graveyard from Davis. Oh, right. Rares.
Yeah, and then just a boring old Voyaging Fader as well to help, man acceleration. Boring.
That's a Satyr Hedonist.
Oh, my apologies. So more man acceleration.
Wait.
Yeah.
If he doesn't draw the 7th land for Ember Swallower, he could use the Hedonist to instant pump the Ember Swallower. What that means is that if an attack with Ember Swallower happens, Pyke is going to have to block it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would monstrous to lethal.
Davis is at 4 life, though, and Pyke is at 5, so we actually have a much closer game than it does appear.
Yeah, both the Polis Crusher and Ember Swallower are must blocks. They must be blocked if they're attacked. If they attack.
Yes. The question is, how does Davis attack in this scenario? And again, Pyka is the one without any cards. Davis is the one with many cards in his hand. Looks to be 3 or 4, and he's got the bigger creatures too. So puts Pyka in a rough spot right now.
All right.
Decisions here for Davis. Davis is a methodical player. If you guys have ever seen him playing goblins or any other times he's on camera, very slow and deliberate. Make sure that he makes every play correctly when given options, and he certainly has some right now. This is a very, very delicate spot when he's sitting at 4 life, Pyka at 5. But again, Davis has the 2 biggest creatures on the battlefield. I wonder what you do here.
Well, I mean, I think you swing with Ember Swallower and Polis Crusher. There doesn't seem to be much reason not to. They can only block 1 creature, so you might as well start eating his blockers if you have the opportunity.
Because again, as you mentioned, those are just both lethal attacks,
Yeah,
so he
have
has
to
to
be
block
blocked.
each of them. Looks like he is talking with his teammate in the middle there, Max Teach. You see Ingram in the far back battling his match
Those
out.
Feral Invocations he has?
I believe that's the case. I'm taking a look at his deck list right now.
Not particularly strong right now, if that is what...
He has a Feral Invocation in his sideboard.
Okay, so that must not be. We'll get... Yeah, not sure
He has
what...
four copies of Nelea's Disciple in his deck.
That might be what it is.
He has Nelea's Emissary. He has a Sedge Scorpion. Time to Feed.
Disciple's huge here. Yeah, those are not... That's an idea's Disciple.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
So
Okay,
much.
so he's a lot more life than we think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much are those things gaining? It looks like 1, 2, 3, so each. That
5.
The first one gained 5. Second one gained
Exactly.
7.
Yeah. And he can cast them both, so he can
Yep.
gain 12 right now.
That's pretty enticing.
I think you still swing your 2 creatures first.
I think you start there, yeah. Especially when you know your opponent has no cards in the hand, so all the information is on the table for you to assess. I think that's where you begin. But I could also very easily see him say, okay, gain 12, go to 16, go, next turn, bash, and be happy doing that.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't want these to trade. It's very close. The idea of swinging Polis Crusher is that next turn you can just swing Polis Crusher into a monster for sure. And because it'll trample and it'll be able to kill the spear, things will be pretty nice for him.
Okay, so he's going to come into the red zone here with the Crusher.
Interesting, so he played the Disciple first. That means he cannot Monstrous the Crusher?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he can if he uses the Satyr Heaviness.
The Headiness, right?
Yes. So, potential's still there. That means he'll only have 2 blockers. It's a little dicey.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
I mean, it still has to be blocked.
Yeah, like this has to be blocked, so it's going to eat a guy. He might attack with the Ember Swallower too, and then maybe he doesn't monstrous at all, and then just gains that extra 7 life to go to 16. So I think he's sitting pretty good right now. You see Polish Crusher on the screen.
I don't think you swing the Ember Swallower now that it doesn't have to be blocked. I think that's just inviting a possible way to lose the game.
Okay.
Because right now, if he has to make the Polish Crusher monstrous, he's down to 1 blocker.
Is it time to block? 1 blocker, but sitting at 9 life. 9 life's a lot. Not saying it's the end-all, be-all.
As we do know, there is a card that, Dauntless Onslaught, that takes care of 9 life very quickly, and his opponent is red-white.
That's true.
There are ways he can lose it. Obviously, I think Jim's really ahead here, and he's probably going to get it, but he's inviting outs here, and maybe he can't play around those outs anyway.
Sure. So you see a double block here. You've got Deathbellow Raider.
It's just the Ember Swallower play, because I think it's not lethal.
Sure. Deathbellow Raider and a Crowan Hoplite are going to get in the way of the Polish Crusher. And of course, because Spear of Heliod is in play, it's making those creatures actually bigger and be able to fight in combat against this Polish Crusher, excuse me.
Alright, so you see I ordered the Hoplite first, then followed by Deathbellow Raider. Remember, these guys are +1/+1. They're bigger thanks to Spear of Heliod. So you have a 2/3 and a 3/4.
Alright, so Jim... Wow.
Just going to trade it with the Hoplite. And
So-
put Pyka to 1.
Yeah, so what this means is that he missed out on gaining an additional life and traded his Polish Crusher for the Hoplite. So a little bit strange there, I think, that trade. Like, because I don't think he doesn't have to attack the Polish Crusher. Like, he could have just gained up to 16 pass and then next turn just shove with everybody
Yes.
if he wanted to.
See what it's going to be. Looks like 3 life gain for Pyka.
Get that in there. Get that death
It's
blow
a
in there.
3-4.
Yeah. Double block, or you can just take it.
I would just take it. I mean, you have to. There's no way that that Pyka has enough blockers. It seems unlikely that Pyka would have enough blockers.
Yeah. I don't think there's something that exists to knock Jim from 15 to dead this turn.
Just off the Minotaur swinging, probably. Not.
Yeah. I think it's safe to go down to 12 here.
And Laguna Ban Elder was the draw for Pyka, so that'll put him back up to 4, which means he can take a hit from Annihila's Disciple.
Ooh, so there it is. Unless he doesn't miss his trigger, which Pyka did not, so he's going to go up to 4. Pass the turn back. So Davis is going to quickly untap. He's going to draw his card. Forest is the draw.
And he still has a Perforos's Emissary in hand. So, and he has enough mana to bestow it. Remember, it bestows for 7, not 6. But that makes one of his guys have to be double blocked.
Is there a way out here? You see Jim has 5 creatures, but Sylvan Carrier can't attack. So you see he's going to put... Okay, so these are my 3 biggest guys that you have to block. So this onto here. And yep, that's going to do
blockers, so that's 4.
So Jim Davis is going to win game number 1 against Chef Pyka. To even things up for his team, as you see Ingram and Blesso are still doing battle, and we haven't even taken a look at their deck yet.
Yeah, so we saw Blesso's deck from way back in round 2, but for those of you who weren't with us then, we'll go back over it. He's playing a blue-green tempo deck.
Oh, I loved his deck.
His deck is playing, yeah, it just has the 1 Voyage's End, but for the most part, it was a green deck. He's playing Voyaging Satyrs, two Sylvan Caryatids, and just ramping into Nessian Asp. Really, an Arbor Colossus. Nessian Asp and Arbor Colossus. Remember, we originally thought it was a little low on late game.
Yeah, he was really just trying to tempo his opponent out as best he could. Didn't really want to get into a late game situation, which is what it looks like has exactly happened here, Matthias, against Peter Ingram and his blue-black deck that has 2 copies of Great Merchant of Asphodel. Take a look at the board here.
This looks really favorable for Ingram. The mana creature is so good in the early game, not great cards in the late.
And speak of Grey Merchant and it shall appear, it's going to come in and gain 5 and drain 5.
Yeah, it's very hard to go late with these blue-black decks. They're probably the grindiest of the decks in the format.
We saw that with in round 1 too with Huey Jensen's deck. He had a little bit of a white splash in this, but for the most part he was a blue-black deck that was looking to go long against his opponent. Looks like Ingram is employing the exact same strategy, going to make it so that his Return Phalanx can attack, and it looks like he's going to attack with a little bit more than that.
Yeah, he's forcing all the blocks here. He's at 16. He can afford to take that 2 damage on the counter swing.
Pretty difficult spot here for Blesso. For Blesso, it looks like is that 2 Sylvan Caryatids in play?
That's 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That
Okay.
is 2 Sylvan Caryatids.
Any splash for his deck?
Nope, no splashes. He has 2 Horizon Chimeras, and as we saw the first time he played, he has a Prophet of Krufix.
Okay.
That's the
So it's a-
Seedborn Muse.
that's a fairy
Teferi
Seedborn Muse, yep.
card. Exactly.
So some damage is going to come across. It looks like Omen Speaker is going to get a hit in.
So all that work, 1 damage across, puts Blesso down to 4. Ooh, and some more beats in Horizon Chimera. This is a win condition that I can get behind.
Yeah, you're a fan of this?
1-3s and 1-5s and things that come into play. They all come into play abilities, and now they're just really subpar bodies left behind, but they're gonna get in there.
You're always on your grind, Matthias.
Because you're out of relevant creatures. This army, it's like when you kill someone with Augur of Bolus. You know?
Well, that's just the worst feeling in the world for the
I have
opponent.
3 Augur of Boluses, and then I just draw kill spells, and I hit you with the Augurs. Bam, game over.
You say that like you've done it before.
That has happened.
Yeah, I'm fully aware. As they're going to activate the Return Phalanx and going to get in with everybody again, going to make some blocks.
You wouldn't want to play a creature that's just good at attacking, because that means you had to waste a card on playing a creature when you could be playing a sweet spell.
I see your philosophy, your life's work.
So as long as when Augur draws a card, you didn't actually waste a card on it. You just spent some time, and now you have a win con. You didn't even have to spend time.
Oh, you've drawn
That's
a card.
why Drown Yard's a sweet card, and we're really sad to see it go.
You've drawn a card with Augur Bolus before?
I mean, okay, right. So maybe he's a bad example.
That's really impressive. You're one of the few people in the world to hit with that.
Yeah, I used to say that Augur Bolus is just should just be Seacoast Drake, because at least Seacoast Drake has flying.
Yeah.
He's strictly worse. All right, so our first time, Max missed out, lost game 1 to the never-ending storm of Gray Merchants, but perhaps he will be saved by some divine intervention from Helios, the god of the sun.
Yeah, Heliod is not happy. Yeah, that's okay.
Not the real one, the fake one.
Yes, Heliod is not happy. As here's a sip of Hemlock. It's gonna take down that flyer. I want you to know, this is the first god that we've had on camera. This is number 1 right now. I've been waiting for this all day to see exactly how good these are.
Decorated Griffin gets hit by a sip of Hemlock, a swing of 2. And but only did 1. The Decorated Griffin protected for 1.
Yep. So Heliod's going to make a 2-1 on the end step there. 2-1 White Cleric. It will have Vigilance because of Heliod.
Yeah, those creatures look like they're a black-white token. They're not. They're just white. It's just shiny because it's made by a god.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it kind of, to me, looks like it's a black-white card, so that's a little confusing, but it's not.
It's just a 2-1. 2-1 White Cleric that currently has Vigilance, and we'd like to believe it always will.
How sick would it be if those guys had mana costs? Oh, man.
I've always thought about that when I saw that card.
They turn on the god. Like, no, that's broken.
Yeah, that would be broken. I also don't know how you would actually be able to do that. Like, it would just be weird from a wording perspective. It's like, this is a 2-1 that has
a copy of
mana
this
cost.
card,
Yeah, that has mana cost of 1 white. Whatever. Yeah, it would be weird. All right, Heliod's going to start pumping out. So it looks like we have like a makeshift mobilization / sacred mesa.
I love those cards.
You and I hate the way you play Magic so much.
I like playing Magic. I don't like it when you're playing Magic. I try to play Magic where I'm playing. I don't see what's confusing about it.
It's so gross.
Why would you if you had the choice, why would you let your opponents play the game?
I feel that way in Cube. I don't feel that way when I'm playing Constructed. See another Gray Merchant of Asphodel come down into play. Drain for 4, gain for 4.
All right, so he actually played Anvil Rot's Raptor. That card is oh boy, it's a 2-1 first strike for flying for 4.
I've seen worse cards. Anyone can play it. It's an artifact.
Yeah, I get it.
Sometimes you need a little bit of filler. Sometimes you need to go to the air. Sometimes you need to defend the air.
Sometimes they Spark Jolt.
It has Vigilance too. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, sometimes they Spark Jolt it, and then you feel silly, don't you?
Well, yeah, but it hasn't happened to me yet.
Okay.
So I don't feel silly yet. See, Tietze's going to add some mana here.
Yeah, so one of the contents of playing with Heliod is that you just end up getting a lot of cards left in your hand because you just keep making 2-1s instead of casting your spells. And you see that really happening with Max. He's got a couple, looks like a Wingsteed Rider. I think we have at least one Alseid in his hand.
Yeah, he does have one of the Vigilance guys. 2/2 Vigilance Alseid in his hand. See if he's going to cast it or not, if he'd rather use it for the Bestow effect. I think Bestow is probably better at this juncture.
He has as many 2-power ground pounders as he could want.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why would you tap 3 mana to make a 2/2 Vigilance when you could make a 2/1 Vigilance for 3 mana and not use your card?
Yeah, I'm with you.
He's got to watch out, though, because little does he know, his opponent could always go and cast another Gray Merchant of Asphodel. All right, Cavern Lampad gives the Gray Merchant Intimidate. And that is an intimidating play.
It's a good thing that Artifact Bird is out there.
For a turn.
Or he'd be in some real trouble.
Yeah. So, I literally like 4 mana chump blockers. You're right.
I demand an on-air apology right now to the Anvil Rot Raptor.
Well, I would apologize.
It is doing God's work.
I would apologize to him, but there's a problem, is that he's dead.
It is currently doing God's work right now. God willing, it is doing... Jeez. What a blowout.
Oh, wow.
In response to God's willing.
Oh, see, sorry, Bird, but see, you can't do it's too late.
Look, I think he did a nice job. I think the Raptor did a great job. Got a block.
the Guardians of Meletis. That's a card I could get behind. It's a 0/6.
You're a tough crowd.
For 3.
It would be really good right now, though.
It would be very,
it would be
yeah,
really
it would
good.
be really good.
It would be
right
really good. I have no argument. It would be really good.
No cards left for Swatkins. So if Max does have an answer, hard to come by in his colors, to be fair. You need like Divine Verdict.
I mean,
Or-
love a Divine Verdict right now.
Or he could have Ray of Disillusion if he's playing it. I don't think he is. That destroys an enchantment and then you gain some life. But
Tietze going to tap some mana. You guys see the scores in the middle of the screen, of course. Ingram up a game, as is Jim Davis. Tietze down a game here. And while it looks like he's doing pretty good, does have Heliod in play, Swatkins can really close the game very, very quickly, as here is Bestow.
I mean, I would not be surprised to learn that their team's undefeated. If it's true that Swatkins has not lost a game all day, I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either, honestly. I'm
That's-
right there with you.
Yeah. And he's gonna play Chain to the Rocks. Oh, that's huge. Okay, huge in 2 ways. 1, it gets rid of the Grey Merchant. 2, white mana symbol number 5.
Is that really?
Wingsteed is 2, Alcide's 3, Chain to the Rocks is 4, Heliod is 5. That is a strong play, we could
this
say.
turn is insane. Wow.
Strong. Good. And the tides have turned. Swatkins may drop a game here.
I've heard rumors that gods don't attack in Limited.
Not often.
Sometimes it just takes a little Chain to the Rocks, man. That turn's awesome for Tietze.
I forgot about that being an answer. We haven't seen it yet. It's rare. That may be why, and can only be played in red-white decks.
Red-white deck.
But boy, those things sure are true right now, and it's good.
Heliod coming into the red zone. What can go wrong? Nothing.
No, Heliod's really nice to play with because he has vigilance too.
Yes.
So just like, oh yeah. It's just consequence-free attacking.
So now Swatkins is going to draw his card. He's coming in for
2, Tavern Lampad. Okay, that means
Does he have
Grey Merchant kills
I was
him.
going to say, does he have Grey Merchant right now?
I trade you
Jeez.
for 5. Get ya.
All right, Swatkins at 11,
How
Tietze
fun
at
would that
5.
be?
What's your definition of fun? I think mine's
No,
different
that's
than
not
yours.
fun. Casting Grey Merchants is, it's kind of fun because it's very silly.
All right, Tietze. I think Tietze is aware too that like he needs to close the game out like right
Grey
now.
Merchant exists.
Yeah.
Raised Dead Effects exist. There's a Grey Merchant. I don't know if there's one in the yard. He's on the rocks. It's not in the yard.
This reminds me. Did you play during Kamigawa block?
I did.
This feels like to me when you were playing against decks that had Devouring Greed.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, please don't draw that.
He's gonna kill me.
Yeah, he's gonna kill me if he draws Devouring Greed immediately.
You never could play around that though.
You're just trying to kill your opponent as fast as you can.
Grey Merchant him. He has a. I don't think playing Swamp's gonna do much.
I don't think so either. It looks like his hand is Swamp playing chess.
Yeah, he's have to chump
Yep.
away his whole team here.
Gonna come in for 2. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't
Tietze can
see
make.
how he's staying alive.
Yeah, Tietze can make 2 tokens. I mean, I think Swatkins is maybe hoping for a misplay by Tietze, but I think Tietze is going to go reaching for tokens immediately.
Judging with the usual deliberation that Max plays with, hoping for a large misplay by him seems
It's pretty unlikely.
unlikely.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Tietze has stacked with everybody. Swatkins says, I got lands, you got it. So we're going to move into a third and final game between Tietze and Swatkins. Both of those guys have great decks. We'll see. We're going to move over to Jim Davis, Jeff Pyka.
Yeah, we saw one game stole from Swatkins. As much as Tietze is a great player, and he is,
He's got a great deck, too.
Swatkins' deck still seems unbeatable to me.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, so we see Davis is up a game against Pyka. What are we going to cut into here? I'll let you update the board state here.
So we have Jim Davis and Jeff Pyka. Pyka, once again, we've seen in this match, there's just a slew of rares on both sides. We have the Spear of Heliod from Pyka. It looks like we have a Anax and Siamede. It looks like they're enchanted by a Hopeful Eidolon. And then we have the Akroan Hoplite in battle. It's being blocked right now by a Nylea's Emissary with +2/+2 from Feral Invocation. He also has a tapped Karametra Acolyte and a Sedge Scorpion.
All right. And now God's Willing is going to target that Aquarian Hoplite, excuse me. Pyka saying, can I scry? Is that okay?
Well, it's a 5/5. So, and right now his creature is just a 2/2, 3/3. Okay, so he thought it was going to be a trade due to Spear of Heliod.
So okay, I see what's happening here. So what this is it's not the creature enchantment. It's a disciple.
Oh, it's a Disciple. Sorry, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
the
okay.
Invocation. It's a double block with Disciple
Yeah.
and Emissary. Gotcha.
I thought it was Feral Invocation as well, but then I
So it's
remember
going
that.
to get to eat one of the creatures.
Yeah, I remember that Jim has 4 Nyla's Disciple.
So it's probably just a Disciple.
Yeah, but chances are high it's just a Disciple. Artwork on those two cards is
Now,
pretty similar.
Between Disciple and Acolyte, Jim is very devoted to green.
Yes.
He doesn't have a Nylea, does he?
He does not. He does not have an
God.
Nylea. He runs so bad. There's only one
Yeah.
god in their pool, I suppose.
Just Nylea's Disciples, no Nylea.
4 of them is crazy. So take a look at Davis. He's got some options. He's got some lands out there, 5 of them.
It looks like during the course of this game that Pyka was able to deal a lot of damage with this Annex and Cymene with Hopeful Eidolon on it. You see he's at 34 right
Yeah.
now. I think that probably happened up until Sedge Scorpion was played, and then the Legends stayed home. And you do see, with the mana Jim has in his hand, he does have options to a Boulder Fall in his hand. Boulder Fall is hugely expensive, but in a ramp deck is actually a pretty good card. So, for example, I told you, hey, do you want to play this Arclight, this Flames of the Firebrand that does 5 damage? And you'd be like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And I'd be like, oh, and it's an instant. If I told you cost 8, you might not be as thrilled. But if your deck could make 8 mana, we're back to thinking it might be pretty cool.
Yeah, and Davis does have 1 Boulder Fall in his main deck, an additional one in his sideboard. So we'll see.
And Sedge Scorpion is going to be used on a Crow and Hopper.
Real tough guy, that Scorpion.
Well, this is kind of what Pyka was hoping for. That means that Annex and Cymene can start to bash it in again.
Yeah.
Davis making the block, it appears.
And Davis is trying to draw out a trick here, isn't he?
It looks like he's been issued a proxy for Battle-Wise Valor. A Judge proxy.
Yep.
So that's 2 Battle-Wise Valors.
There's a real one.
That's a real one, though.
Yep. So you see Boulder Fall, which is that instant 5-mana Arc Lightning, and Davis is just going to pick it up. As that Boulder Fall gets countered, you see a little bit of frustration there. Double Battle-Wise Valor, going to be good enough.
Yeah. So in case people were wondering what was going on with, so sometimes a judge can issue you a proxy. There are a couple situations. If you have a foil that you don't like, usually it's if your cards become damaged during the course of a tournament, a judge can issue you an official proxy. Especially because you're not actually required to play sleeves in a tournament.
Yep.
True statement, though everybody does. You do have the option of playing your cards without sleeves, and if they get damaged or marked, you can't play them, and the judge will issue you a proxy.
And so what's happening on that combat, of course, is that both those creatures were coming in, because don't forget that Annex and Cymene does have Vigilance and First Strike, so it was getting into the red zone. Jim trying to blow it up in combat with Boulder Fall, and we saw 2 Battle-Wise Valors
Jim played
ruin
it
that.
great because he did it, he forced Pyka to play a Battle-Wise Valor, and Jim was like, all right, his combat trick's out. I got him. I'm going to Boulder Fall, and then the second one turns it all back around.
So I think that Boulder Fall can actually be quite good for Jim in this matchup, but in that certain situation, it was not going to be good enough. As you look at the scores across the board.
Boom. Undefeated teams, undefeated for a reason. All their decks capable of a win, as we've seen.
We would cut to a match, but all 3 teams are shuffling it up. So we'll see exactly where we're going to go. It looks like we're probably going to move to Blesso versus Ingram, but again, all 3 teams tied up at 1.
So where do you see these going?
Boy, that's tough. Well, now that I've got some information,
all right. So
I'm going to cheat. You can't stop me.
All right.
Peter Ingram's taking a mulligan to 5, so I think that Mark Blesso is probably a favorite in this match.
I'm going to go ahead and say that the Ice Imports team that has a great odds. I thought Swatkins' deck was I thought you could hardly ever beat it once, and beating it twice just seems really bold.
Yeah, I think anyone that can do it is Tietze's deck, though, because Tietze's deck is so hyper-aggressive. I think that he has draws that he can really just bury Swatkins before he gets set up. I really believe that. Right. As far as Davis versus Pyka, I think Davis's deck is really good in the matchup. And it lands on those 4 Nylea's Disciples is why I think it's really good in the matchup.
Yeah, so we're going to start here. Ingram is on the draw. It looks like he kept 2 lands.
Yeah, he does have 2 lands, so it looks like he can play some Magic
and
here.
Own Speaker possibly, so maybe that'll find him small lands if he needs them.
All right.
Yep.
Better than Augur Bolas right now. Take a look at 2.
Boy, the 2-land Augur hands were the worst because you're like, well, he's not drawing me a land, that's for sure. And then you play him, then he wouldn't draw you a spell either, and you just be like, gosh darn it, you're a 1/3.
I am so glad that I never played that card.
Oh, it's terrible.
Cast it
I saw
0
one
times.
deck I liked it in, ever.
And the one deck I liked it in is I played Blue-White Miracles, the Pro Tour deck, which was all spells, literal all spells, and I put 4 Augurs in it, and that was it.
You probably missed a bunch.
No, not really. No, okay. So it was a 28 spell deck, and sometimes you got a Devastation Tide the Augurs, and that was good.
All right.
But it was just good, not great, just good.
Yeah, just good enough.
Just good enough.
We've seen Nessie and Corsair join the battlefield here for Blesso. 2/2 flyer for Ingram. Blesso going to play his 4th land, separate his mana, see what he wants to do on this turn. Nimbus Naid in there for Ingram, and Blesso's going to start by attacking.
All right, so Ingram can try to force a trade with Nimbus Naiad and the Nessie and Corsair. The problem is that gets so blown out by a combat trick.
Yeah. Gets blown up by just so many different things. Pump spell, bounce spell, everything could happen there. So just take the 3 and move on.
You think Blesso doesn't have a play, but I'm going to go ahead and say that he does have a play. I'm pretty sure we're seeing a Horizon Chimera come down.
Would not be surprised at all. I think he has 2 of those in his deck.
He does indeed. And as we're on game 3, Ingram might suspect it too, and he's got an answer.
All right, well, there it is. So, Blesso going to draw a card. He's going to gain a life. Going to play an island, so land number 5 is here. It looks like he's got a hand of 3 spells and 1 more land.
Yeah, now remember, it's actual, like, Ingram has a chance here, because as we saw, Blesso's deck was really heavy on mana ramp and kind of light on threats. You see as he has 5, as this game goes late, Blesso's going to draw cards that are less and less relevant. You see right now he has Sylvan Caryatid in his hand. Not really even a card. Ingram was only down 1 card because he was on the draw, and his blue-black deck is so much better at functioning in the late game. I think as long as he can stall the game, Ingram can still win this mull to 5. But we see
boom,
shredding wins. So kind of like Plummet, kind of not. 7 damage to a flyer, but it shreds through the Coastline Chimera.
And now there is that Sylvan Caryatid passing the turn back. So yeah, that is our Plummet of the format.
Yeah.
One mana more, still an instant.
Doesn't actually always kill a flyer, but
good enough.
Probably kills a flyer.
So here comes a Disciple of Phoenix.
There might be certain monstrous flyers it doesn't kill. I don't know. It kills pretty much everything. It's pretty much
I
Plummet.
believe that I would like to believe that it kills pretty much everything.
He could have Triton Tactics to Coastline Chimera, and that has toughness 8. I don't know. There are ways.
We found a hole.
That's not even good.
Of course, you found a way to base it around Triton Tactics.
If you have 2 Chosen of Heliod's on it, then it's a 1/9.
Into the red zone we come for Blesso. Let's hope he doesn't forget to gain a life every time he does draw a card.
Not that it's particularly relevant in the matchup. I really don't think it is. If Ingram wins, it's going to be the long game.
Sure.
But you should remember to gain life you should remember to do things when you can do things.
Yeah, I mean, they're passing out things for free as Ingram goes down to 8.
And it looks like a Feral Invocation still in Blesso's hand.
Yep. Which Ingram knows about from
that's
the cycle.
Actually out of the sideboard. Interesting, against a blue-black removal deck, he's chosen to go with auras. I'm sure there's I'm interested. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe trying to take him off guard. Bless is going to untap. He's going to draw a card. Does have that Feral Invocation. Drew an island. So not the best of hands right now for Blesso. He can't get into the red zone here with the Nessie and Corsair, which he is going to do. Going to leave his Horizon Chimera at home. And let's see what Ingram wants to do here. Sitting at a pretty unhealthy 8 life. He's trying to undo a mulligan to 5.
We do see Sea God's Revenge in his hand. Actually, one of the weaker board states for Sea God's Revenge.
Yeah.
This card we talked about in our just before round 1. We actually have not seen it cast yet today. Kind of what we said was probably the most powerful non-rare in the set. Surprisingly, have not seen too much of it.
I am touch surprised, just like you.
To be fair, though, it's not like we just haven't seen it. Like the deck lists we've seen just haven't. It's like no one opened them.
Yeah. So let's see what Ingram wants to do here. Really, really thinking this turn through.
Well, he's almost stable, and that's.
Yeah, it feels like he's almost there, right?
Yeah. I mean, Blesso really took his foot off the gas when he didn't attack with the Chimera. He didn't want to attack into open mana, which I which seems right, but the problem is he's pushing 0 damage when he doesn't attack.
Yeah.
You know, Ingram just like drop lands and keep passing back, and things don't get better.
All right, so there is another Stone Keratin.
And this was the time when I said that Blesso's draws really just are lacking. We see Stymied Hopes. Yeah, that's a Force Spike that scries one.
I think Ingram just needs another card, so that's fine.
Yeah, I think Stymied Hopes is really not very good.
Yeah, I think it's ambitious.
I'm not sure why. That's really okay.
I mean, I don't love it. I think it's super ambitious. I think it's a card that, based off of how Blesso may have played an earlier game, Ingram felt like he could get him with.
Be it.
Yeah, I mean, like that's for the same reason that you always see those sort of effects like Rune Boggle or similar
he has
effects.
2 in the board. They aren't main deck.
Yeah.
Certainly late game, because Blesso just has too much mana late game. It's not good, but maybe Ingram's just worried about losing the early game.
Yep. In which case, when that card is good and it works, it's great.
Yeah, it means a counterspell.
Yeah.
Scries one. It's no Rune Boggle. Rune Boggle is...
Few things are Rune Boggle.
I'd rather draw a card than scry one.
I'm with you. It's like we're going to see
Rune
some
Boggle, you
blocks.
can always just cycle off their spells.
Yeah. So Courser and the Chimera are going to come into the red zone. Here's some blocks from Ingram. Ingram with 5 mana available.
Is Blesso going to pull the trigger on the Feral Invocation? I don't think so, based on how he's been playing up to this point.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to either. Don't forget that Ingram has access to 2 Lash of the Whips in his deck too, which I'm sure Blesso knows at least about one of them. So.
All right, and boom, here comes the rare.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Prophet of Krufix. And because he's reading it, my guess is that Blesso did not play it games 1 or 2.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you have one of these.
It is a 2/3, so it's not, it doesn't have great power. And he says, hold on just a minute. Just a second, my friend. I think I have Lash of the Whip to cast.
Do you care more about the Prophet, or do you care about... I think you care...
I think you care more about the Cursor. Yeah, I think you have to.
I almost would have said the Prophet, just because I don't want him end-stepping creatures on me. And...
Yep, you got... Oh, wow, Ingram got him really good here. So...
He got value out of that Feral Invocation.
Because of the block. And it looks like Blesso completely forgot about the damage that was on his creature. Lash of the Whip, he casts Feral Invocation in response. Ingram says, that's fine, your creature is still going to die from the damage.
That's
and -4/-4. That is huge for Ingram.
And
not
the
Mnemonic Wall
is starting to stabilize everything here.
You see, Swatkins did win his match against Max Tietze. So now it's really important for Ingram to be able to come back from this mulligan to 5 because Tietze has been dispatched.
You can tell Blesso's discouraged there. He was discouraged enough by the play that he didn't even untap on Ingram's turn.
Yep.
But Ingram is very close to being at that stable point.
Ingram wanted to make sure he knows exactly what that card does. Again, you can play your creatures as though they have flash, and you untap every upkeep, both your opponent's and your own, with the Prophet.
We see Sea God's Revenge, Lash of the Whip, and possibly, we don't know the third card.
All right, so he's going to Lash of the Whip, I believe, on Blesso's upkeep.
Yes, that seems like the best time to do it.
So here's Dissolve. Scry 1, put a force to the bottom, so this is going to influence Blesso's draw step. Draw a card.
I think it's another forest.
Yeah, I don't think he hit. I mean, Scry 1 put one of those lands on the bottom, so that's big from Dissolve, as Ingram's going to draw a card now. I think Ingram has a Dissolve of his own in his hand.
I believe so as well. That's a really good place for a control deck to be.
But only one island, as you see Ingram going to take a look at Prophet of Krufix again, make sure he knows exactly what this card does.
Yep. So remember, Ingram still has not completely battled back from that mulligan to 5, right? He's still just on single blue, still down those 2 cards.
Mm-hmm.
He is most of the way safe.
You know that Tietze's got a watchful eye sitting in the middle there, ready to help Ingram, ready to help Davis at a moment's notice. So Ingram making sure he knows exactly what this card does with the Prophet. But he is in some serious trouble. The longer you leave that Prophet in play, the more difficult the game gets. So what is he going to do here? Really, really deep in the tank. Going to play a Swamp to start. Now you see him reaching for mana. It looks like he's come to a conclusion on what he wants to do. 6 mana being tapped. So just Sea Gods. Wow, just
He
one.
wants the scry. I don't think, because he's at 5, I don't think a triple bounce is ever really going to happen because of how profitable Kufrix works.
Yep.
I think he doesn't ever see a good opportunity to cast it. So what we said was one of the best uncommons really used to little effect there. Fade into Antiquity, the draw for Blesso, not any help.
Yep. At least not at this point. So now there's your profit. Going to come back into play after being hit by Sea God's Revenge. Trigger's going to resolve. Blesso's going to untap his stuff. Shields are back up. Ingram draws an island finally for dissolve.
That's what he kept on top of the scry.
So now Ingram going to draw turn 2 now. So these players are in extra turns.
So how interesting that if everybody is in extra turns right now, Team Ice Imports.
Wow.
I'm assuming that Pyka and Davis are also in extra turns.
Yeah, I would assume that's the case. Wow, that's insane. Ingram going to tap some mana, and he says no, it's just going to be a draw. So let's see what happens with the Davis match. It looks like Pyka won.
Okay, so the win happens legitimately, or not legitimately, but the win happens in
overtime.
In
Regulation overtime. There's some sort of sports metaphor here.
That's what I was thinking. It actually happens. They win 2 matches.
How about extra innings?
Sure.
There it is. Perfect.
They get it in extra innings. It's not a draw.
So we have seen